What's up, everybody? We're gonna hop straight into the action here, playing 2-5 at the win in Las Vegas. First hand we're gonna go over for the night. I get dealt pocket tens under the gun. This is gonna be my last session here of this Vegas trip. Under the gun puts in the straddle of $10. I'm under the gun +1. I make it $30 to go. Folds around to big blind, and they put in the call. Under the go fold. So we're gonna be heads up, and we go to a flop of 4-10 deuce rainbow. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. We have top set here, hoping that big blind has something like 3-5. No, ace-3, just some kind of straight draw, something to continue with here. They do check, of course. I put out a bet of $20. They put in a call. Turn brings in the king of hearts. Really good for my range, but just hoping they have maybe two pair at this point. Just want them to have something. I have a set, for the love of God. They check. And I decided to size up here on turn and put out a bet of $70. Unfortunately, they do lay down their cards, but hey, we take it down the first pot of the night. And second hand we're going to go over tonight, I get dealt pocket eights, the snowman, my second favorite hand in poker in small blind. Under the gun opens to $15. I decide to put in a call in small blind and big blind calls as well. So we're going to go multi-way to a flop of 7-6-6 rainbow. Pretty good flop for pocket eights. I check. Big blind checks as well. Under the gun actually bets $25 here now. I decide to just call. Didn't want to check raise here just in case they have some overpairs. And then big blind shockingly just check raises to $105. So pretty much a little bit over a 4x check raise. Under the gun folds, and I decide to put in a call here. Not going to go anywhere with my pocket eights yet. The turn brings in the 9 of diamonds, so that those backdoor diamonds are now coming in. I do have the 8 of diamonds in my hand, actually. I do check, and big blind goes $130 this time. And still, I'm like, I'm thinking about it, but I'm not going to go anywhere yet. They could just still have a 7. I put in a call. River brings in a complete brick city, the 2 of hearts. I check, and then the player announces that, yeah, they're going to make a bet of $320 for all in. And I go into the tank. Here. Just a lot going through my head. What do they have? Obviously, I lose to 6, and I really actually just misread this person at the table. So one of the tips I would like to say here about live poker is that you can kind of tell who's a reg at the table, who's not. Usually people who are regs tend to buy in, it's a $500 buy-in, but they tend to buy in for $1,000 or $1,500. Like when I play at the win, I buy in for the max $1,500. The person to my left actually bought in for like $500-$600, so I was under the impression that they weren't a reg. And with that in my mind, I was thinking, maybe they bet a 7 here on the river, like a strong 7 and things like that. So I just made a really, unfortunately, a bad read here. And the person actually turned out to be a reg. I found out later on in the session. And that actually, went into my decision with calling here. So I did tank. I literally tanked for 2 minutes. I do end up flipping the call, and they unfortunately turn over 9-6 of spades. So they just had the 6 the whole entire time. And honestly, if I had played with this player before at the win, I would have just let it go on the river very easily. So just a misread by me thinking that the player was not a reg, unfortunately. And a couple of hands later, it actually folds around to me. We have some blind versus blind action, even though that I'm on the button because somebody's sitting out. So I actually was going to fold my hand, and then I realized that I was going to be heads up with this person to my left. Same person I just lost pocket eights to. So I end up actually making it $15 to go. And I let them know that, hey, I'm going to call if you 3-bet anything. And I actually opened to $15 on the button, and they 3-bet to actually like $75. And I'm like, yo, I'm not going anywhere. We're playing deep. Let's get it. I'm going to call 5-4 off. I'm committed. I put in a call, go to a flop of ace, queen, 4, 2 diamonds. So at least I do have a pair of 4s here. Pretty much know they're going to be c-betting this board all the time. It hits their range. They do put out a bet of $40, and I'm making it fun because I'm like, oh yeah, you have an ace, and then, oh, you don't have an ace, and I put in a call, and he starts laughing, and I say, oh, that means you don't have an ace. Starts laughing. Some good banter going on. And on the turn, he actually checks when it comes to three of hearts. And I decide on him. I do have a pair of fours. Hopefully they have some random like king 10 hand or some hand that's, not really made yet. So I decide to check back here instead of stabbing. And now looking back at it, I mean, I already confirmed that they didn't have an ace. So I should have just like took a little stab here. I could have just stabbed here and probably took down the pot because they don't have an ace. Maybe I get something else to fold. Some like pocket pair that's beating me, like I said, and king 10 obviously is never gonna fold, and those like straight draw hands. So unfortunately I do check back, and the river comes to jack of spades, and on the river they bet $200. I'm like, oh shit, I'm done with this hand. I fold, and they actually do show pocket jack, so pretty insane. Could have just stabbed it on the turn and took it down, but what a time for them to wake up with pocket jacks when I say I'm not folding to their 3-bet, right? And next hand, I look down at ace queen suited in the big blind special, ladies and gentlemen. We have an under the gun straddle for $10. Under the gun +1 makes it $30 to go. Folds all the way around to me, and I do put in the 3-bet to $100. We actually are playing $1,000 or so effective here. The under the gun straddle actually folds, but under the gun +1 does put in the call. So we're going to go heads up to a flop of 6-5-3 rainbow. There's a 3 of diamonds. I do have ace queen of diamonds, so hoping some diamonds maybe come in on turn here. Sometimes I do check here. Sometimes I do c-bet. I did decide to c-bet this time. So I put out a bet of just $60. They come along with the call. Turn brings in the queen of hearts. I love the ladies. What a perfect turn for me, right? And yeah, I have top here, top kicker. Not going to be slowing down here if I'm c-betting a flop and hitting a queen like this. Going to be barreling here. Make it $250 to go, trying to set up that river jam. Unfortunately, they think about it for a couple of seconds and they fold rather quickly. So hey, we do take down the pot though. And I look down on the button and I get dealt ace queen suited again of diamonds. Same suit, same everything, just different position here. Goes around to cut off and to make it $15 to go. I 3-bet on button to $50. Goes back around to them and they actually hit me with the 4-bet to $190. Massive 4-bet, ladies and gentlemen. Oh man, I'm sitting down at ace queen soon. I'm like, not gonna be going anywhere yet. I'm gonna flick in the call and we go heads up in a 4-bet pot to a flop of queen 10 jack rainbow. So at least there is one diamond on the board. I do flop top here, top kicker, but obviously I'm really worried because they can still have aces, kings, queens, jacks. I mean, they can just have crap ton of hands, and I'm really specifically worried about ace king, of course, because they just have the nuts right now, right? So they're thinking about it for a little bit, and they do bake out a bet of $115 on the flop, and I do flick in the call, of course. Not going to go anywhere yet. Turn brings in a nice queen of clubs, so we do have trips now with top kicker. So I am beating aces and kings now, but I'm still losing the ace king, unfortunately. And here they check. I actually decided, do I want to check back here or actually put out a bet? I do actually go for the bet this time. I make it just a little small bet of $225. Try to see and gauge where I'm at. They actually do flick in the call. And the river brings in the king of spades. I'm really worried about this. Like I said, they could have pocket kings. And they do check on the river. And I think about it. I mean, not even really think about it. Maybe half a second. I just immediately check back because I'm like, oh man, they could have just boated up and I could just be chopping with another ace. And they actually turn over ace king. So I was the one who lucked out there on that river. We chopped the entire pot. What a savior for my day. So yeah, just a lucky river for me. But sometimes you got to get lucky. And I look down at ace queen suited again, the 3rd time of the night, and this time it's the spade variety in the small blind. So the position has changed. Under the gun opens up to $15. It does fold around to me, and I 3-bet to $60 this time around. They put in a call, so we're actually just going to be going heads up to a flop of ace 8-5, 2 diamonds. Pretty good flop here. I do have spades in my hand, so I am worried about the flush drawers and things like that right now. I do actually put out a bet of $60. They call rather quickly. Turn brings in the 10 of diamonds. It's not the time for diamonds to be forever. Did not want to see that turn, ladies and gentlemen. So I do decide to slow down here a little bit, put in a nice check. After I check, they actually just only bet $100, so a really small bet. But yeah, can't go anywhere yet. We have top here, pretty good kicker here. I do flick in the call. River brings in the 2 of hearts, so pretty much one of the brickest cards that can ever come in the deck, right? I check. Opponent thinks about it for a little bit, and they unfortunately put out a slight overbet of $550, and this is where things start to go wrong because they bet so small on turn, and now they're sizing up on the river, and I just go into the tank. Not going to snap call here with top here and the second best kicker. Started to think, what are they betting? And just my thought process was going back and forth, just being in the hand. And I did make a mistake here. You know, I did make a mistake. I thought that I really thought that they had more ace x of, well, I know that they have ace x of diamonds, you know, obviously all the suited ace x of diamonds, but I thought that they had more like single ace x of diamonds than they actually do have in their range here. So I was really gauging them on that bluff. Obviously I know that they once again have all the flushes and things like that. So with that being said, I unfortunately, after like 2 minutes, came to the decision that, yeah, they do have a certain amount of bluffs, and I do flick in the call, and I think about this hand for so long and during the night, and unfortunately after I do call, they do show the ace x of diamonds for the nut flush, and yeah, they just had it. And I did actually, like I said, I was thinking about this hand for a long time during the night, just like, did they really ever have, you know, that much bluffs there? And then I, you know, when I came back home from Vegas, I did run a sim on it, and yeah, ace queen suited is basically in this specific spot is just a pure fold. Just a pure fold. You're not supposed to call when this line is taken like that versus these positions. So yeah, that's just something to keep note of, everybody. Man, it's an ace queen party, but this time it's not the suited version, just regular offsuit, ace queen off on the button. Under the gun does make it $15 to go. Somebody in middle position does put in a flat. And when it falls around to me, I'm deciding to put in the 3-bet squeeze here. I make it $65 to go. Under the gun comes along with the call, and middle position actually folds. So we're going to go heads up to a flop of ace, ace, 9. 2 spades. Don't have a spade in my hand. That's really good. Looking pretty good here on this board. They check. Decide to put out a bet of $50. We are playing roughly $1,000 effective here, just so you know. They do call. Turn brings in the jack of hearts. Kind of a scary jack here. Am worried about ace jack. More so ace jack suited. Even though there's not that many combinations of that left in the deck. I don't think this specific opponent is going to have ace jack offsuit here. I'm not too worried about those combinations. Just ace jack suited. They check. And once again, not having spades here. I'm just trying to set up that perfect size on the river so I can definitely, you know, hit that on Jemima moment and go all in on the river, right? So on the turn, I do decide to put out a slight overbet of $350. My opponent thinks about it for like 30-45 seconds. Unfortunately, they do lay it down. We win the pot, but just wanted to get more money in the middle. And a couple of hands later, I get dealt ace 10 suited in the small blind. Low jack actually opens rather big this time to $35. Button actually puts in a flat. I thought about 3-bet squeezing here for a couple of seconds, but I said, you know what, let's just take it to post. Let's see if we can flop something here. So I do put in a call, and we're going to go 3 ways to a flop of 4-3 deuce, 2 hearts. Luckily, there is 1 club there, so I do have the backdoor nut flush draw. That could possibly come in. Yeah, so I check. Low jack puts out a bet of $35. Button folds, and I'm thinking about it here. You know, this is pretty super low board here. Can rep some sets here. And I decide to check raise. So I do check raise to $120 to put pressure on a low jack. Preparing to barrel some turns depending on what happens. I could hit a 5 for a straight. Definitely don't think they have like a 6 in their hand based on how big they open pre, and I can start turning some backdoor clubs. So it's a lot of good turns for me. So I said, yeah, I'm gonna go for the aggressive line and put in that check raise. They think about it for a couple of seconds, and they do put in the call. And the turn brings in the 7 of hearts, not the turn that I want to see, ladies and gentlemen. But I have been being a little bit aggressive at this table, and I decided, hey, I'm going to keep my foot on the gas here, and I actually put out another bet of just $120 at annoying size on turn. And my opponent goes into the tank. The tank. And they tank for roughly a minute and a half. I'm like, good God, what are they thinking about? I'm getting worried because I'm like, I have nothing. I literally have nothing here right now. Literally have nothing. And after a while, they actually fold, but they fold face up. And they show me my favorite hand, the ladies. But the craziest thing is not only do they show me the ladies, they show me the ladies with the Queen of Hearts. So they were really super worried about me having something here. But hey, I mean, they're going to fold the queens with the Queen of Hearts there. I am the happiest person ever. And maybe, you know what? As I always say, I love the ladies, I treat them right, and they treat me right. I win against my favorite hand. Love to see it. And I do get moved to another table here. Still playing at the win, trying to get unstuck for the night after those bad river calls I've been making, right? I look down and I get dealt 9-7 suited on the button. Under the gun opens to $20. Folds around to me. I do put in a call. So we're going to be going heads up to a flop of 5 deuce deuce rainbow. They put out a bet of $10, and I'm like, that's a little bit too small for me. So I'm going to be bumping up the stakes here. I do raise in position to $35. They think about it for roughly about 30 seconds, and then they do flick in the call. Turn brings in the 4 of diamonds. These cards are just super low. Like, under the gun isn't hitting this board at all. They check, and yeah, I do just have a flush draw here, but I want to massively put pressure on under the gun's range here, and I decide to put in an overbet on the turn to $160. This time they didn't take that long. In a couple of seconds, they do muck their cards, and we take down the pot with a bluff. And last hand of the night, I get dealt pocket 4s in middle position versus a button straddle of $10. We have an under the gun limp for $10. I limp as well in middle position with pocket 4s. Goes around the button, and they actually bump it up to $20. Just a min click by them here. Folds back to under the gun. They put in a call. I put in a call. So we're going to go 3 ways to a flop of ace, queen, 4. See, look at that. There's a lady on the board, and I hit a set. Like, the lady just love me. Come on now. And under the gun checks. I decide to check. Button decides to bet $30. Under the gun puts in the call. And I decide to be a little bit sneaky here. Just going to put in a call, see if they can put in some more money on the turn. And the turn brings in the king of clubs. Worried about jack 10 now, but I mean, that's a small portion of hands. And under the gun checks, I check again. Button actually puts out a bet of $75, and she was actually really short to start this hand. So when she bets at $75, she only has roughly $130 behind. Under the gun, unfortunately, he has more chips, but he just lays down his cards. So we're just heads up, and once again, she only has like roughly $55 extra behind. So we're gonna have an Aunt Jemima moment. I'm all in for this measly extra $50, $60, whatever. Put in a stack of black chips. She thinks about it for a couple of seconds, does put in the call, and we have to run out. The river comes the 5 of spades. I turn over my beautiful set of 4s. She looks at me, looks at the board, and she just throws her hand into the muck, and she just gets up and leaves the game. So, hey, at least I win the last pot that I'm playing for the night. And before we get to the results, we have a quick message from one of the regs here in Las Vegas.
Shout out to Brandon. He'll check raise his own grandmother all in.
That's pretty fun. 4th and final session of this Vegas trip at the win. Unfortunately, it's my first losing session. I lose $662. And if you enjoyed this session at the win, make sure you check out this video here where I play at the win again and actually get dealt pocket aces and kings 4 separate times.